We take a look at Week 14's marquee matchups, and we start off with the 7-5 Steelers taking on the 10-2 Bengals in Cincinnati. Will the Bengals hold on to that #1 seed in the AFC?
I think they will, but as revisionist history has shown us, last year the Steelers had no problems going into Cincinnati late in the season and beating the Cincinnati Bengals. It's tough to go in the jungle and get a victory. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are primed to make a really big run in the AFC playoffs, and if they're going to do that, they're going to have to beat teams like the Steelers at home.
You said it would be tough. They've got their work cut out for them, not just going against Ben Roethlisberger, but against one of the best, if not the best, receiving core in the NFL, taking on Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, and Marcus Wheaton.
I think that's what makes the Steelers such a tough out, but the problem I think they're going to run into in this game is their defense, to me, isn't really stopping teams the way that they need to. Now, they were able to put the clamps down on the Indianapolis Colts, but I think this is a different animal that they're going to be dealing with in the Cincinnati Bengals.
And when Roethlisberger is able to have time in the pocket or even get away and extend the play, we saw what kind of damage he can do, cutting up a defense up the middle.
Yep.
Can they put pressure on Roethlisberger but also contain him?
They can, and they did that in the first matchup, and they forced 3 or 4 Ben Roethlisberger interceptions. I think it is vital, it is imperative to keep Ben Roethlisberger in the pocket, because when he escapes, to me, he's still one of the best impromptu quarterbacks when creating outside of the pocket. And once he gets out of the pocket and those guys take off down the field, they're a handful to deal with.
All right, the Patriots 10-2 taking on the Texans in Houston, or 6-6. Is this the game that the Patriots turn things around and stop the bleeding?
I think so. I think the Houston Texans, the one thing that has to scare you if you're a Patriots fan going into this game is that offensive line has been in shambles. That's not the defensive front that you want to see if you're having problems protecting your quarterback. J.J. Watt, Clowney's starting to show flashes. That's a defense that can really get after Tom Brady, force him into some errant throws and make some plays. But to me, the offense of the Texans isn't going to do enough, I don't think, to be able to beat the Patriots and score more points than the Patriots will be able to in this game.
And they certainly have to get Hopkins more involved. He's only had 17 targets in the last 2 games.
He's one of the upper echelon receivers in this league. When you start rattling off the top 5, top 7 receivers in the league, DeAndre Hopkins' name has to roll off your tongue. And if you have one of those type of receivers with the caliber of talents that he has, you have to get him 7, 8, 9, 10 targets a game. It's a necessity. And he's the guy that can change a ball game. We saw that a couple weeks ago against Darrelle Revis, torching him. You got to get him targets if you're the Houston Texans.
And Belichick has stressed that this team has to eliminate the special team errors. They allowed a blocked punt and a kickoff return for a touchdown last week. Let's move along to the Falcons, a team that is just sliding and sliding, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be any end to that slide. 6-6, taking on the Panthers in Carolina, trying to stay undefeated. Will the Panthers come away with this one?
Yeah, this isn't the week that the Falcons want to see the Panthers. I mean, look, if the Panthers are going to lose this season, I don't see it being at Bank of America Stadium. I think it's going to be on the road, just like they almost lost in New Orleans. I think it's going to be in a division, and it's going to be on the road. Probably that same Falcons team we're talking about, but in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome. It won't be this week in Week 14 at Bank of America Stadium. I expect the Panthers to continue that slide.
And when the Falcons were playing well, it was that running game that was a driving force. Devontae Freeman now just 47 yards per game in the last 4 games. They've got to do a better job of establishing the run.
Yeah, and that's not the defense that you're really looking forward to trying to do that against. I mean, the Panthers really gear up to stop the run, and once they stop your running game and they get you in 3rd and long, then they turn the dogs loose, and Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis are coming after you, and next thing you know, you're throwing it to the wrong color jersey, and they're making you pay.
The 5-7 Raiders traveling to Denver to take on the 10-2 Broncos. How do you see this one shaking out?
I expect Denver to be able to run away with this game at home against a Raiders team that's starting to lose hope.
The Raiders have lost 4 of their last 5 games and 3 interceptions for Derek Carr last week against the Chiefs. So you can imagine those guys who call themselves the no-fly zone, that coalition, they're ready for Derek Carr.
And Derek Carr was extremely sloppy with the football last week. And if he was sloppy against that Chiefs defense, what do you think is going to happen against this Denver Broncos defense that can ratchet up the pressure and get after you and force you into some mistakes, much like the Chiefs did last week?
And that wraps up this segment of Week 14's marquee matchups. Another great week of NFL football. And that does it for us for this edition of the Playbook. Thank you guys for joining us. Hope you're enjoying the holiday season. For Louis T, I'm Frigola. See you guys next time.